Hello, and welcome to the latest installment of First Sounds, a new series at Inside the Pylon where we take the tape and show you a trait, a scheme, or a concept using film as a backdrop for the idea that we're talking about. My name is Mark Schofield, one of the writers at Inside the Pylon, and today we're going to be looking at working progressions from the quarterback position. This is an idea that sort of came into the lexicon of football during the Bill Walsh West Coast offense that they were running out in San Francisco with Joe Montana and the 49ers. And the idea is that a quarterback has a number of options or progressions on a given play, sometimes 3, 4, maybe even 5, depending on the structure of the play that's being run. But the way teams do it, you can do it where a quarterback will read to one side of the field or the other, a strong side, weak side read. Or some offenses employ a full field read scheme where the quarterback will move from left to right or right to left, depending on the rules for that play and the coverage that is being shown by the defense. The reason I like to talk about this concept, especially as it relates to draft quarterbacks, is that in today's college offenses, a number of teams will run plays that restrict the number of reads, based on sometimes 1 to 2 reads per play, sometimes even just one read, based upon either the package plays that are being run or the schemes that the offenses are using, particularly in spread designs. But all teams and all offenses have situations and have plays where the quarterback is tasked with making a number of progression reads, sometimes 2 or 3, sometimes maybe even 4. And when a quarterback can do that and displays on film that he can do that, that's something that NFL coaches like to see, because as they transition to the next level, they'll be asked to do more and more of that in NFL offenses. Our first example comes to us from Brandon Doughty, a 6th-year senior at Western Kentucky, a very intriguing option in this year's draft class. This is a game from this season against Louisiana Tech. As you can see, the Hilltoppers have the football on their own side of the 50-yard line with just over 2 minutes remaining in the game, and they face a 2nd down and 3. They have 20 offensive personnel on the field with a running back and a hybrid fullback / tight end in the backfield with Doughty. They have slot formation to the right and a single receiver split to the left. As you can see, the play art for this play is already up on the screen. To the left side with the single receiver, Doughty's going to get a quick curl route, and he'll get another quick curl route here from the receiver to the right. He will also get sort of an exit-enter concept underneath. With this first slot receiver here, he's going to run that quick shallow dig route, and then the fullback's going to kind of follow behind that on a circle. And I call this an exit-enter concept. It's an interesting little design where you run one receiver into an area of a defense, into a zone, or kind of to occupy the underneath defenders, and those defenders will tend to flow towards that first receiver that comes through, and then they might forget about the guy that's coming right behind them. Some teams call this a trail concept. The final route that Doughty gets on this play is this wheel route from the running back. He's going to come, as you can see indicated, he's going to come in deep motion before the play, and then he's going to release sort of up the field on this wheel route. Louisiana Tech has their 4-2-5 defense in the game, and you can see 3 defensive backs here, and here are in press coverage. The free safety is deep in the middle of the field. They bring one safety down into the box, and they also have 2 linebackers here and here. Now Doughty's going to work his progressions on this play. He's going to start first by quickly checking this route, and when he doesn't like what he sees there, he's going to work next to this combination underneath, then to the curl, and finally to the wheel route. Starting this play, you'll see the motion in a second, and you see how the defense responds. See, running back goes into motion here, and they roll this linebacker out in response. Now Doughty knows pre-snap. It confirms what he probably thought this was, and that is, this is man coverage, cover 1. You've got that free safety in the middle of the field. So now that is confirmed, it likely confirms in his mind the progression reads that he's going to make. Again, not every team does it the same way, but in my experience, a lot of teams base progression reads off of the coverage that's being shown. If you see cover 1, you'll read it one way. If you see cover 2, you read it another way. Now that the quarterback has his coverage confirmed for him, he can proceed with his progressions. Okay, he takes the snap, and he opens up here first. You can see how he's looking at that curl route from the receiver outside. He checks this first, doesn't like what he sees. As you can see, the defensive back gets a good jam on the receiver, so that looks to be covered. He's next going to come underneath. There he's looking at the middle of the field. Louisiana Tech covers these two routes pretty well. You can see they've got 3 defenders in place to cover those 2 receivers. They do a good job of switching off on this first dig route. The defender that was across from that right here, he lets that receiver go to the next guy, who then picks him up in man coverage. And he sits down now in that underneath hole that you typically see in cover 1. Usually you have a linebacker kind of sit down underneath and help out on routes just like this. So Doughty doesn't like what he sees there. Now he comes to the outside. He's looking at this curl route here. If this comes open, again, you've got 3rd and 3. So if he can throw this, it's beyond the sticks, pick up the first down and keep the drive moving. But again, defender's in good position to cover this curl route. So he doesn't like what he sees there. So he comes to the outside. He's got that wheel route with the running back matched up on a linebacker, which is a good one-on-one matchup. And the running back has a step. So he drops this in the bucket. Let's run through that just one more time to get a look at it. We'll slow it down a little bit so we can get a good look at it. Yeah, there's a deep motion. Takes a snap, checks that one, comes underneath, curl, then the wheel. That's a great example of working through progressions there. Here's another view of it, and first let me just say that I just love this still right here. It just kind of encapsulates playing quarterback, because you can see from this angle how Doughty gets the snap and he's staring down that free safety, trying to influence him a little bit, hold him in the middle of the field, even as he's working through his reads. And we can see it now. Once this starts to move, it comes down, then the curl, and now finally the wheel. But he drops in a perfect throw. That's a great example of working through progressions from Brandon Doughty. And again, he's a very interesting option at the quarterback position in this draft class. He's got a lot of experience. He had the medical hardships with the knee injuries, but he runs a somewhat complex offense at Western Kentucky under that coaching staff, and he runs it very well. And as we can see here, at least with respect to working through progressions, he does it very well. He's a player that I think as this draft evaluation process goes on, the coaching staffs will get to know and will probably like what they hear from him and like what they see when they get to see him up close. And while there is a lot of time between now and the draft, I would not be surprised to see his name rise up a little bit on draft boards as the 2016 NFL Draft approaches.